This is the Academies of Loudon Lab Notebook. This video will tell you how to use this, what is the use of this lab notebook, and the different details in maintaining the lab notebook. You will be able to buy new lab notebooks as and when the lab notebooks is completely used. It may not happen this year, but may happen in the next or the following years. In every lab notebook, there is a notebook number. Now, if it is the first notebook you're ever receiving from the academies, you will write 1 there. Issued to is your name, and it should be your full name, and not any shortened form, but the official name. Date of issue. It is the first day when you are issued this lab notebook. For a 9th grader, usually it is the first day of the school on which they get the lab notebook. For instance, in 2019, it would be August 23rd, 2019. Project or program should be Academy of Science. The department must be Academies of Loudon. And returned on should not be filled in unless otherwise the whole notebook is completed and given to the teacher to be used or to be checked. And that has to be done only when the notebook is completed, not when you're every time giving back the notebook for grading. Now, in the second page, you will find some series of instructions. You should read through these instructions. These instructions are generic to maintaining a lab notebook for any company or any organization. There may be mild variations to the specific to a particular organization, which we will be talking about in this video. The next page is the table of content. Every time you start a new lab or a project or any kind of discussion which you are recording in the lab notebook, you should write the title of that particular process and write the page number in which it has started. Now there will be multiple pages of the content because there are a number of activities you will be doing and a number of discussions and projects you will be having. This is the first page of your lab notebook where you will be recording information. All pages in this will look similar to the first page, except that they will have a different page number. Now, in the top it says project number. That is the activity number or the project number or the lab number you're doing. That will correspond to the number of the entry in the table of contents. If it's the 5th item on the table of contents, you will write 5. Book number for this particular book, if it was the first book, will always be 1. The book number does not change throughout the book. Title. Title is the name of the lab or activity or project or the discussion which you are participating in and recording here. In the first page, it says from page number. Here in this particular page, there is no other page before this. Therefore, this can be left blank. But there is also a 2-page number where it will continue. That means if you're going to continue on page 2, you will write 2 here. Just in case, if page 2, you do not want to use, something else happened to the page or you wrote something else in the page and you want to continue in page 3, then you will write page 3 here. So, and the page, so wherever you are for bringing it from page 1, if you are going to page 3, then you will write from page 1. From page 1, if you are going to page 2, then you will write from page 1 here. So, this is the page from which this content is continuing. This is the page on which the content will continue. At the bottom of every page, you will have a series of signature columns and dates. In this case, you have invented by and recorded by is both year. And you will sign on both of them and put a date there. Witnessed and understood by me is your partner. He will sign and put the date here. Whenever your partner signs it, he will put the date corresponding to the day when he or she signed it, not repeat the date which is here. So you sign it on a particular day when you did the activity. In case the partner did not sign it on that day and comes the next day or 2 days later comes and signs it, he will use that particular date there when he or she signs it. Now, at the end of every lab notebook, you are given a particular document in your Google Classroom called the maintenance of the journal or the technical notebook. You will also find a copy of that in the classroom. You'll take a copy of that and fix it to the inner back inner cover, so that you always know how this lab notebook will be graded. You should take time to read all these items, try to understand how you would maintain your lab notebook. Now, we will look at a real lab notebook which is used by someone else. See what are the correct and the wrong ones. There may be some errors there, like everybody can make a few errors. It's okay. So here, notebook 1, name, date. Unfortunately, the person wrote AOS, ACL, but it is only AOS or Academy of Science. And second error the person made is that the person crossed it off twice. You never cross off an error twice, or you do not scribble over it. You just cross it off once. And the next one, the person wrote ACL, and LCPS was not part of it. The person cut it off. But previously we used to call it as ACL, but currently we call it as Academies or Academies of Loudon. You can see the student has very meticulously recorded all the table of contents and the page numbers. And even here, when she made a small error, she put just one line to cross it off. Now, we're taking a particular page here. You see, look at this. At every page in the top, she writes the constant velocity lab. She's written the title. She's written the book number. But she forgot to write the project number here. What project number is that? The project number should have been 1. So she should have written, because you see the constant velocity lab is the first lab in this sequence. Okay? So she should have written 1 there. Okay? And there is a small error here. She kept writing constant velocity lab so many number of times. You should not be writing so many number of times. You should write only once. There's a starting page. And only she should write when the next project starts, you should write the name. Another example for that would be this particular lab notebook. See, this person correctly writes constant velocity lab, page 1 to 5. Constant acceleration lab, page 6 to 9. Marble launch lab, 10 to 11. So that is a proper way of writing it. And here, you can see she has signed both of them and dated them. But she by mistake signed also in the witness column, but she struck it off, and then her partner signed it and put the date. Okay? Now sometimes it can happen, the person signs a few days later, and you should put that particular date on which the signature has been given, has been done. Now look at this one particular sample here. Now, she has pasted some item from outside. Sometimes we do this for data or some other information. When we do that, we need to sign such that part of the signature is on the paper on which you have pasted and part of it on the notebook. Why? If somebody rips off this page, it is visible that somebody has removed a page from there because part of the signature will be on the notebook. Another important thing you should notice, the student has struck this off and says LBI. What is LBI? LBI means left blank intentionally. That means this is not, I am not putting an empty page here to fill up later. I am intentionally leaving this blank because I want to write in the next page. You can also see that the student has written page number 6 here to page number 6 and from page number 5. Sometimes you can jump a few pages because something else was done in between. Every one of these tables, data tables, must have a title. The variable must be there in the top with the proper units. And every graph must also have a title. The axis has to be labeled and must have the units on it. You see all these numbers, it must also be properly numbered there. Sometimes the tables or printed tables, which you can attach them, and she has actually signed it as we have seen before. Here is one example of carry over to a different page. So here you see that the person says page number 65, but then next page it says page number 71. That means she has not followed on with this one here, but she has continued the work in page number 71. And she rates them from page number 68. It has come from 68, she has continued, 65, I'm sorry. Page number 65, she should be continuing there. Page number 65 to page number 71. And therefore, she has made an error there and she's struck it off that later. So, it's not, as you can see, all lab notebooks are not totally clean. But they have to be maintained meticulously to show that the information was not doctored and they are genuine.